Okay, Uzima, this is the last video before you take your algebra EOI. So you did pretty good on your last minute EOI prep. We're going to go over some things that you missed that were pretty easy. But I just want to make sure we get those things kind of straightened out in your brain. So we're just going to go over your missed ones. So this first one was, given these two equations, what is the difference between the graphs? So what you need to remember is if they have the same slope, then we look at the y-intercepts. Okay, if they have the same y-intercept, then we look at the slope. Okay, so if they have the same slope, then they're going to be parallel. So if they have the same slope, we can get rid of our options that talk about them being flatter and steeper. If they have different slopes, then we're going to look at whether they're higher or lower. So you answered that one of them was lower than the other one, and they have the same y-intercept. And I really feel like this is where you're getting caught up. Remember, y equals mx plus b. Mx plus b. M is your slope, b is your y-intercept. Drill that into your brain. You have to memorize that and get that straightened out in your brain, okay? Y equals mx plus b. So this one has a slope of 4, this one has a slope of 12. Okay, so therefore our options that we're going to choose from are flatter or steeper. They have the same y-intercept, so they cross the y-axis at the same point. And let me note that. Okay, so they both cross, because they're both have plus 3, they're both going to cross right here. But one of them goes up 4 boxes and over 1 box, and the other goes up 12 boxes and over 1 box. The bigger the number, the steeper the line. So, and another thing you can do is you can graph these. You'll have graph paper, so graph the two lines and see what the difference is. Okay, they're both going to go through 3, but one is going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1. So that'll be the 4x plus 3. The other one's going to go up 12 and over 1, so it's going to be really steep. So that's why this f of x is flatter than g of x. Okay, so remember y equals mx plus b. Anything touching x is your slope. Okay, this is where it crosses the y-axis. This is your slope. Okay, the next one, a line that passes through the point 1, negative 3, and has a slope of 6. And you were close because you did pick, one that has a positive 6 slope, so that gave you A or C. Then the next question is, which one has a line that passes through this point? So what you should have done with your calculator is, so 6x minus 9 and 6x. Okay, so those were our two options because it had a slope of positive 6, so we know it can be A or C, but it has a point of 1, negative 3. Okay, remember this is x comma y. So if we plug this x in, do we get this y is what we need to do to figure out the answer. So 6 times 1 is 6, minus 3 would be negative 3. So that's why this is the correct answer. If you plug this into this one, you'd get positive 3. It'd be 6 minus 3, and then be positive 3, and it should have been negative 3. Okay, the next one made me sad that you got it wrong. I think you're putting it in wrong because you had 7 over 4. Make sure you're doing y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. That's another thing you got to pound in that brain is the y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, okay? It's always going to be your y's over your x's, okay? Just like when you're Graphing, you go up or down, you do y's first, and then you go left or right and you do x's. So, maybe throw these on some flashcards or repeat them over and over. Write it over and over and over again. y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, okay? And same thing with y equals mx plus b. I want you to memorize that as well, okay? So you had it opposite, so you must have typed in your calculator opposite. So make sure you got that figured out in your brain. Okay, another one you got wrong that made me sad. Remember, if slopes are parallel, they have the same exact, if lines are parallel, they have the same exact slope. So if these were parallel, the slope would be 4 and 4, or negative 1 over 4, negative 1 over 4. Okay, they would have the same slope. If they're perpendicular, remember our song, flip it, change the sign, flip it, change the sign. If I flip 4, because that's really 4 over 1 over, it becomes 1 over 4. It was positive, now it becomes negative, okay? Now if I flip this one over and change the sign, I'm going to get this one, so that's why it's perpendicular. Okay, the next one should have been really easy for you just to pop in your calculator. All you should have done, because they give you the miles, is 0.4 times 250 plus 400. Oops, plus 400. Or 40, excuse me, is 140. I think you did this piece because you got 100, but don't forget the whole thing. Put the whole thing in your calculator. In your calculator, type 0.4 times 250 plus 40. Okay, that way you don't forget that part. Okay, this is just like the one we talked about above. Okay, they have the same slope, so we're going to eliminate the options of steeper and flatter. Okay, and then this one's negative 2 and this is negative 9. So this one's going to be higher on the graph because it's at negative 2. Okay, it would be here as opposed to negative 9 down here. So you answered G is higher than F, but really G is lower than F. Okay, so just really pay attention and make sure, because they're trying to confuse you with G and X, and they put the G before the F, and that might have been what got you, so make sure you understand that. Solve for X in the two equations using substitution. Remember, I told you don't have to use substitution. They want you to solve for X, so we need to get rid of Y. So we have 9x plus 3y. Okay, and our other one is 3x plus 3y equals 9. Okay, our y's are already the same number, so it's great. So I'm just going to multiply this top one by negative 1, so I'm going to change all my signs to be opposite. And then I'm just going to add them together. Negative 6 plus 9 is 3. Negative 3y plus 3y is gone. Negative 9x plus 3x is going to give me negative 6x. Divide both sides by negative 6. You should get x equals negative 1/2. Okay. You were close. You got 1/2. You must have forgot a sign or something. So that's that one. What is the slope of the line again? Okay, this one, okay, I know why you probably got this one wrong, because you forgot the other piece of it. So I think you're close. So remember, if it's ax plus by equals c, okay, if it's in this form, standard form, this is called standard form. If it's in this form, then remember it's negative a over b. And I bet you just did a over b. But remember, it's negative a over b, so it'd be negative 6 over 9. And that's why it's negative 2 over 3. Okay, if it's y equals mx plus b, this is slope-intercept form. And our slope is right here, and it's easy. But if it's in standard form, it's negative a over b. So put that another thing to write on your sheet to remember. Okay. This one and the next one, I think you just got your little hand motions wrong. Because you got it down to greater than or less than, which is great. So you saw this was a dash line, okay? But remember, try and make that sign, this sign right here with your right hand. It's a little awkward. And you rotate it clockwise. You rotate it down. So that's why it's this one. This sign rotates up. Okay, so remember this sign rotates up. So the top half, I just can't talk today. I'm going to blame it on the allergies. The top half of the graph is shaded. Okay, and this one rotates down, so the bottom is shaded. Okay, another thing to memorize. So you did great on knowing that it's a dash line, but it's shaded down. So that's why it's this one. Okay, same thing here. You did great. You knew it was a solid line, but you made the same mistake. Remember, this sign is shading up, and this one is shading down. Okay, the next one, which of the following is a function? Okay, remember in a function, our x's cannot repeat. And remember, an ordered pair is x, comma, y. Okay, our x, then our y. So this one has 6, negative 4, 4, and 6. So we have a 6 here and a 6 here, so it can't be that one. This one is 4, negative 4, 4. Okay, 2 4s repeat, so it can't be that one. This one's 4, negative 4, 6, negative 4, negative 4, negative 4, so it can't be that one. This is 4, negative 4, 6, negative 6. Okay, so this is the correct answer. And the last one, it says, which equation represents a line that is parallel? I think you're trying to think of perpendicular, because this would be perpendicular. So I think you have your perpendicular and parallel. Okay, what I want you to think about, so this is the correct answer. Remember, parallel lines have to have the same exact slope. Otherwise, they'll intersect. So if this is y equals 2x plus 3, okay, maybe this is y equals 2x plus 1. Okay, they're different lines, but they have the same slope, so they're parallel, so they never intersect. Okay, so if they give you a line and they say, this one's parallel, well then the slope of the line that it's parallel to has to be exactly the same. Now, if they intersect and they're perpendicular, so they intersect at a 90-degree angle, remember we flip it and change the sign, which I think is what you did in this one. The opposite of 1 over 9 would be 9 over 1. It was positive, now it's negative. So remember, flip it, change the sign. Flip it, change the sign. Okay? So you did really good. Just a couple little things like, so on these ones, remember, if they have a different slope, then we're talking flatter or steeper. If they have the same slope, then we are looking at whether they're higher or lower. And don't let them confuse you. Make sure you pay attention whether they're talking about g of x or f of x. Make sure you just plug in correctly and you really just pay attention. On this one, remember y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. These are perpendicular. You flip it, change the sign, you get the other one. Okay, remember here, plug it in, make sure you put everything in. Okay, pop the whole thing in your calculator. This one you were close, just probably a sign error on that one. This one, remember, it's negative a over b. So you were close, but remember the negative sign. Okay, here you just have your rotations wrong. So this we color down, this one we color up. But you did great on greater than or less than. Same thing here. Color down, rotate, color down. This one's color up. Remember, function x's can't repeat. And this one's parallel, which talk about parallel, same line. Okay, you're going to do great. Can't wait to see you Tuesday.